I wanted to share with you technology in today's workforce. It's a digital reality of a work from home position. Modern technology has shifted the way that we do business. So being tech savvy is no longer a bonus, but rather an expectation in your workplace. Workplaces depend on technology as an important part in driving business operations. In addition to the soft skills, employers look for employees to have familiarity with basic technology, which is a highly transferable across roles and industries altogether. But whether you're looking for a work from home position, feel a little bit lost when it comes to productivity software, or simply want to level up your technical skill set, you've come to the right place and the right session today. First, let's talk about digital conferencing. Well, knocking down the barrier of geography, digital conferencing allows for a more personal, face-to-face relationship building experience when working from home. Companies with remote employees use web conferencing to collaborate through video calls. This also allows for virtual meetings, which can be set up and attended from anywhere in the world, although some companies will require you to be within a certain parameter of their office location. And lastly, web conferencing is great for webinars and events like this one. And kudos to you for being here today. You are learning more about the digital conferencing system by using it, and you're going to be so ready for the Tri-County Virtual Job Fair. Don't be afraid to show off the tech skills that you have through the interactions on that virtual space next Wednesday. But also, if an employer invites you to a video, it's an easy way to show off how skilled you are. Make sure that your camera's in the right place. Make sure that you're set up and you're dressed appropriately, like we just mentioned. So you've got lots of opportunities there to show off how well you can use digital conferencing. And when we're talking about work from home positions, that's going to be the essential impression that you need to make, is that I know how to use this equipment. So let's talk about the 5 most common digital conferencing systems used today. Zoom is by and large the most common. Most of us have experienced at least one Zoom call since the start of the pandemic. And while some experience fatigue from using it all day, every day, these platforms are going to be here to stay, and they can be very helpful with a team's overall productivity. Zoom combines group messaging, simple online meetings, and cloud video conferencing into what is considered to be the easiest of the web conferencing platforms. It is mostly free to use for at least 2 people, but anything more than that, you're limited to 40 minutes or you need to pay for a subscription. And then you have with Cisco WebEx. It's a web conferencing software designed for team collaboration. It allows users screen sharing and collaborating through voice and HD video calls. While it offers a modern, consistent, and simple video experience, the software works at its best with internal teams, and it isn't ideal for communicating with potential customers. Next is GoToMeeting. This platform makes key features like HD video, meeting recording, screen sharing. It's all standard. Then it offers additional packages for webinars and conference calls, all of which are reasonably priced. So it has become pretty popular in the business world, and it serves a lot of different sized businesses. Then we have Google Hangouts. This is probably most common with our younger generations who are living on Google in school and stuff. I'll go into that in a little bit, but it is a free web platform. But you do have to have a Chrome browser, a YouTube account, and a Google account in order to sign on for that. Teams can connect from anywhere through, which is why it's super popular, because it's got that free aspect, but it is limited to 30 people. So it's not ideal for the business community in that regard. And then last, but certainly not least, is our Microsoft Teams, which has come a long way since its launch in 2017. An increased number of businesses had already begun using Teams prior to the pandemic because it offers security features and things that hadn't been a part of the digital space before. But then you have the pandemic, and that accelerated its popularity. It is now the go-to solution to support most remote working environments. It brings simplicity to the overall teamwork sharing and collaborating and communicating. It does that all under one platform. So now you can have a quick conversation with your colleague via chat. You can attach files and share them. You can schedule a meeting. In some cases, supervisors are using it to monitor whether or not you're online in the hours that you say you need to be online, which really helps them manage you and keep you and them accountable to the work that's being done. And then it also offers and integrates other apps like Office 365 and other scheduling platforms all within the app. So it increases your productivity by not making you go to different platforms or outside of Microsoft Teams for that. Now, I will say that it is more complicated than most. So give yourself a little bit of a learning curve and be patient and take the time to become familiar with the system before you are applying for those work from home positions. So with all these particular platforms and these systems, there are several ways to brush up on your skills or learn them entirely. And Golden Sierra offers a free registration with Metrics Learning that has over 5,000 courses in general. However, it does have one on Teams specifically. So it's an introduction, quick course. I think it's like 4 different sessions. And you can at least become familiar with what Teams looks like and how it runs, and get an overview on that. So, but you can also go to things like LinkedIn Learning. If you have a LinkedIn account, they offer LinkedIn Learning for 1 month free. It does have different levels of costs after that, but if you can plan to use it for a month solid and get all of those courses in there that you are interested in, that is a great use of a free resource for that first month. And then, of course, there are amazing people on the internet that put training videos all over YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and you search what you're looking for, chances are you're going to find a video, or even you can just put your favorite search engine up on the screen, type in what you're looking for, and see what videos come up. I will caution you to be careful where you click because it's still the internet. So, but yeah, just a couple of very high level on those. Now I want to kind of talk to you about the productivity software. Working in an office setting or in a remote position in particular, it's going to require you know at least one of these common programs. So most of you might know Microsoft Office. It's the longtime leader in office productivity software, but a few others are gaining popularity for various reasons. A lot of them are offered at no cost, which is a big reason. But the skills within Microsoft Office are transferable in most cases to these other productivity software systems. But you can practice. It's really nice when you can practice on those free sites and get them down and know what you're talking about before you integrate. I actually went through an interview one time where they asked me if I knew Microsoft 365. And my response was, I'm very familiar with Microsoft Office. And that wasn't a good enough answer. So if you can, go learn these extra systems, even though they're exactly the same, and actually Office does more than 365, they wanted me to have 365 experience. So what is Microsoft 365? It is the first and most similar alternative to Microsoft Office because it is put forth by the same team. The main difference is that these programs are in an online format and can be free, while the regular desktop suite has a subscription fee, has a overall fee that you have to download it onto your computer, and it can be pretty pricey. But Microsoft 365 includes many of those MS Office programs like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and many, many others. Although it is definitely a simpler version, like I mentioned, to the desktop counterpart, and it does miss out on some of those crucial advanced tools like in Excel. But one of the greatest advantages is that it functions so similarly to the Microsoft Office suite that it's going to be a transferable between the two. So a great starting point, especially given that free factor for 365, use it as you can. Another great free resource is Google Workspace. It is the second alternative I want to talk about today. While similar to 365, there is no desktop counterpart. Google Workspace was based online from the very beginning. And it is most commonly used in schools. So if you have any kids, chances are you're familiar with the Google Workspace package. And I will say it offers its own cloud-based storage as well. You might know the Google Drive, but it does require that Gmail account. So if you don't already have one, you're going to want to set up that in order to access all of the Google Workspace opportunities. So with those, it offers, instead of Word, it has Docs. Instead of Excel, it has Sheets. You can see the theme here. Instead of PowerPoint, it has Slides. So they're very slightly changed in wording, but a really fantastic program to use in order to learn those basics and practice doing Excel formats, if you need to do a resume, you've got Google Docs, you can create it right there online. You can save it as a PDF. You've got lots of options, again, all at no cost. Just my sidebar for job seekers. But one of the major drawbacks for Google Workspace is that it's very, very limited to advanced tools. Microsoft Office is still the leader in that. Microsoft 365 follows closely thereafter. And then Google Docs definitely misses some of those marks. Or I'm sorry, Google Drive definitely misses some of those marks. So it is, while it is good and it is popular, it does have its drawbacks. It is fairly easy to use. So if you are brand new to processing software, you're definitely going to want to start here. The interface is pretty easily maneuvered, but also file sharing and collaboration. I was on a call with a job seeker in Google Docs. We were tag teaming, editing their resume. I was chatting in the box, hey, you might want to change this. So here we are collaborating on Google Docs, all at the drop of a hat. It was fantastic. And then, of course, the most complicated of all the processing softwares, if you've never used a Mac, although I think with some of us with iPhones, we've learned, but as Mac users are aware, the iWork suite marches to the beat of its own drum. And if you are with a company, or if your future company happens to be full of avid Apple users, you will need to know at least the basics. So you have Pages, that's the word processor. You've got Numbers, that's for the spreadsheets. You've got Keynote, which is for presentations. And then of course they have several others. But the Apple Office suite, or iWork as it's known, uses all of these formats, but you can save as the Microsoft formats. So it's well versed in switching between PC and operating systems. So it's a great starting point. Huge drawback. There are very few tutorials and guides, and so the learning process becomes much more individual. If you buy a MacBook, or if you are, or an Air, whatever it might be now, there's a class at Apple. They'll teach you what you need to know. If you don't have a Mac for yourself and you're given this one for work, hopefully they'll give you the opportunity to learn. But I can take you also back to Metrics Learning again. There is a basics iOS for that Mac programming. So if you are on the Metrics Learning site and you already have an account, it's under the digital literacy skills track, and then it's computer skills section. And there's lots of opportunities in there as well. There's actually a whole section under skills tracks for word processing and Microsoft. So lots of opportunities there if you do need to learn and grow and hone your skills. There's even some specialty certifications that you can add to your resumes if you want to be a specialist in Excel, or if you want to upgrade your skills for Word, those kinds of things. If you're completely unfamiliar with what I'm saying right now, that's a great start. So definitely needing to know those basics. Web conferencing and productivity softwares are essential to your work from home. So hopefully I haven't overwhelmed you too much with the terminology, but this is kind of the list of the systems that I mentioned. It's great to get a baseline knowledge of programs. It is great to upgrade your skills. It is great if you haven't worked in a while to then go in and refamiliarize yourself. So you can test your knowledge. So let's say, oh, I think I'm pretty good at Word. Well, North Star Digital Literacy, which is the bottom right corner, they offer free assessments. So if you want to go in and find out what your basic computer skills are, what your Microsoft Word technology is, there's even one for social media. There's a ton of tests, and as long as you don't log in, you don't get to save your results and they're not official, but you can take it as many times as you need to in order to know where your weaknesses are. Now, if you do have greater weaknesses, Golden Sierra has an account with North Star that we can get you set up to where you can have learning tracks here as well. So you have metrics learning, you have North Star Digital Literacy. All of these are great tools for you to use. And then Google, of course, has their own Vibe. They are online. They have a ton of courses to learn all of their basic workspace trainings. So it starts with Google Docs and it goes all the way through, but there's a ton. And then LinkedIn Learning, as I mentioned before, that's the one where you're going to have it free for a month, but then it gets a little pricey. So just be a little bit wary of that. And also wary of clicking on the internet. If you're needing help and you search in an engine, just make sure it's a legitimate site that you're clicking on before you go. And if you just hover over the site or if you right click the site, you can get a preview of it and you can find out if it's a legit site. So I'm running out of time. I'm long-winded as usual. I do want to cover really quick though CRM systems. This is the last part of the technology piece that I want to cover today. This stands for Customer Relationship Manager, aka databases. CRMs are used in every industry, from banking to retail, hotels, consulting, finance, insurance firms, nonprofit sectors, and the agricultural industry. A good CRM helps to achieve contact and lead management, sales forecasting, messages between employees, past and present. And I will inject here, I used this so much when I was in the nonprofit sector because the turnover was so high with the industry. I could then look back on notes that were made about a important donor and know a story and know an important factor so that I'm not going in blind meeting these new people or offending them because I haven't. So this is key to know your customers, whether you're in account management or in nonprofit sector, especially. It's the key. But it helps with customer content sharing. That's exactly what it is. There's email tracking and integration. So if you send a lot of emails out in the businesses, this is going to be the way to track that, as well as other dashboard-based analytics. But while most of these companies use them, every productivity software, and just like productivity software, as long as you know one really, really well, you're going to be able to translate that into and feel confident about learning the new one. So they're very interchangeable. They're just give yourself some time to learn them. Unfortunately, unlike the productivity software, there is that learning curve is a little bit steeper because there's not a way to really practice these because they're expensive. That's why businesses pay into them. So, but that being said, I wanted to kind of cover the most popular CRMs. Just last month, we have Monday.com. That's the number one. Pipedrive, Salesforce CRM, Oracle NetSuite, and Zoho CRM. Of these, Salesforce CRM is a great place to start. It provides creative CRM solutions that can be effectively used for all businesses, whether they're high-scale enterprises or small startups. And as one of the world's leading cloud-based CRM tools, there are so many people using it and making YouTube videos that you can easily find a video that you can learn from. So that would be where I would start. But really just wanted to share with you those key pieces of technology. And then as we look into the work from home world, it's important to consider these non-tech essentials. While some companies may provide their remote employees with work laptops, headsets, speakers, and other equipment, that's not always the case. So make sure when you're asking those interview questions that Francisco mentioned earlier, maybe one of your questions is, what do I need to have to make my workspace at home work? Or do you provide a laptop? Do you provide a headset? All of those questions are important questions when you're considering a position. But even with company support, you will want to take steps to set up that ideal work environment for yourself. This includes a high-speed internet connection, that's a must, as well as a quiet and private space to work. In some cases, companies will ask you to provide a locked area or compartment to keep their files safe. If your current living space allows it, I recommend having a dedicated work area, which will help you maintain that healthy work environment or work-life balance environment. This doesn't mean that you have to have a home office. It just means you need an office space in your home. So that your desk, make sure that you can button it up at night. Make sure that you can put work away, all of those things. Keep it all in one space so you're not spread out of your house. Don't work on your bed. Don't work on your couch. Make a dedicated space for you that is just for work. And then when you work from home, you're likely going to be performing a majority of your tasks independently with limited supervision. While you may have set work hours, your employers will expect you to be responsible for how you use those hours. It's largely up to you to keep yourself productive and on task throughout the day. If you aren't the sort of person that makes schedules and to-do lists, working from home might not be the best for you. Although you can develop these skills, and one of the ways to do this is by writing down all the most important things you want to do and accomplish in one given day, and then stay focused, accomplish that list, and keep yourself accountable. So there are ways to learn these skills if you don't have them. But employees who work from home are also likely to develop injuries and chronic pain from sitting or performing repetitive tasks for extended period of time. So keeping yourself in good physical and mental shape is also going to be important when you're working remotely. Working out regularly, scheduling time away from your home, whether you're visiting with friends, meeting colleagues in person, if your team is local, all of these are great ways to combat that sedentary life of working from home. So you can also invest in some compression socks if your legs bother you when you're sitting for too long or whatever. But it's really important to commit to some sort of workout. If you can't commit to, an actual workout routine, try light stretches during your breaks, go for a walk, something that's going to get you moving and keep your spirits up. Setting aside just a few minutes a day to exercise won't just feel good physically, but research shows that it does wonders for your focus, your mood, and your motivation. And with that, I want to say thank you for your time and attention, and I hope that this information was helpful. We might have a few minutes for questions while the other resources check in, but I know I'm a little bit over, so I want to be respectful of that too. But I have shared my contact information here. If you have any questions or you want more information about that metrics learning or North Star Digital Literacy, reach out, talk to me. I'll also put it in the chat. But with that, I'll open it up really quickly. We'll take 2 minutes for the questions.